Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor who's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back from your holiday weekend. I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, bringing you guys your daily hail forecast. Sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and now American Contractor. You guys can go check out their pages in the link below. We have them tagged in our Facebook page, so go check them out. And into today's weather, we got scattered risks all the way from the East Coast up into the North Plains. Looking like we could get some hail, wind, and possible tornadoes from that. And then into tomorrow, we've got more scattered risks. They're going to be on the lower end, and they're mostly wind risks, but we'll talk about it. And then finally, the story of the week is looking like it's going to be Tropical Storm Elsa as that heads towards Florida. It's expected to make a landfall into tomorrow, so we're going to take a look at that as well. But before we get into our weather, check us out at the 2021 FRSA Convention and Expo. That is at Gaylord Palms Resort in Kissimmee, Florida. That's going to be the end of the month, July 21st through the 23rd. So make sure to get registered for that and come see us if you guys are in the Kissimmee area or if you just want to take a trip out to Florida to say hi. And then after that, we are at the NTRCA Mini Trade Show. That's going to be in Grapevine, Texas on August 4th. We're already barreling towards August, guys. It's crazy that we're halfway through the year. So that's going to be August 4th, Grapevine, Texas at the NTRCA Mini Trade Show. And then last but not least, you guys have seen this before. It's the Thunder Road Race for Recovery. That's going to be in Norman, Oklahoma on September 15th. We are actually putting on this event, and it's going to be a charity event benefiting roofers in recovery. All proceeds of this event go towards that. It's a great cause, so make sure you guys get registered for the Thunder Road Race for Recovery here in Norman, Oklahoma. Now getting into our weather, here's what our current conditions look like. Pretty beautiful across most of the country here, but we do have some scattered showers here and there. Here's Tropical Storm Elsa making its way up towards Florida right now, a little lopsided, but we are expecting to see that strengthen a little bit into the next few hours, into the next day or so. And then up into the northern plains, we're expecting some storms all the way from Montana through the Dakotas, Nebraska, and through Wisconsin. And you can see that boundary starting to set up. We've got a cold front that's kind of lingering in that area, and that's going to help us get a few storms popping up through the central northern plains into this afternoon and evening. And then finally into the New England area. We've got some storms starting up, a couple severe warnings working their way through New York, pushing their way off the coast by later this evening, but we will see those ramp up a little bit into this afternoon, producing some severe winds and some possible hail along with it. And then for our temperatures, gorgeous across the nation for most of us. A little cooler across the west coast, but we're working our way up into the 70s and 80s for most of us. Dew points, still a little muggy across most of the nation here. We're all sitting in that green. Once you get past the Rocky Mountains, we start to see those values spike up as that moisture return happens across the Central Plains and through the southeast. So we're sitting in the mid 60s to 70s for our dew points across most of the eastern U.S. And you know, those dew points help us pop up those storms, so we'll get plenty of convective showers moving through the eastern U.S. and some severe chances through those areas that we talked about before. And then into our instability in the atmosphere here, we're going to see some higher Cape values moving through the northern plains here and into Minnesota and Wisconsin by the mid-afternoon hours. And then the same story here through New England. We're going to see some higher Cape values moving through as we get that daytime heating and all of that instability popping up from that cold front. And then, you guys know, as that daytime heating kind of goes away through the overnight hours, so does our Cape, so those storms should diminish a little bit as they eat away at that energy and it kind of goes down with the sun. So here's what we got for our future radar. Looking here at New York, we're going to start out at noon. Right now, we've got a couple of those scattered storms that are producing some severe warnings through the area. And then as our afternoon moves on, those are going to push off to the east. We're going to get a couple of isolated storms moving through New York and the New England area, pushing their way eastward, starting to kind of cluster up by the early afternoon and evening hours. And we could see some wind threats and some some scattered hail threats through those scattered storms through that area. Going to continue to band up and then push off of the coast by the early evening hours. Then into our northern plains risk here. Forgot what it was. Northern plains risk. We're going to see that boundary that's going to continue to set up. And then into this afternoon, we're going to see some isolated storms starting to pop up through Nebraska and South Dakota. We could get a couple through the Minnesota area as well by earlier this afternoon. And that's going to continue through the afternoon and into early evening hours. Those are going to band up pretty quick through this area. So we will see an initial hail threat quickly transitioning to a wind threat through this area, through South Dakota, Nebraska, and parts of Minnesota. And then we'll get some isolated storms starting to pop up through Wisconsin through the early evening hours. A couple of those could be hailers moving through. That bands up into a wind risk pretty quickly, and then by 11 p.m. Montana joins the show, and we could see a couple of isolated storms pushing through that area, producing some gusty winds as well as scattered hail. So here's what we got for our forecast max hail size for you guys. Thinking mostly $1 to $1/2 for today. However, we could see some ping pong golf ball sized hailstones with those stronger storms as they push through. So that leads us into our hail forecast for today. So we've got Montana, Central Plains, and New England to work with here. Moving on into our city-specific forecast, we've got Boston, Philadelphia, Scranton, New York City. You guys are all in the risk for some gusty winds and hail into this afternoon and evening. Going to be on the lower end because you guys saw those storms are pretty scattered through the area and then they band up, producing more of a gusty wind threat. So we could see a lot of small hail with these storms, damaging winds, and then a $1 to $1/2 sized hailstone or two through that area this afternoon and evening. Working our way on up into the Central Plains, Northern Plains. Here we got Wisconsin. You guys in Green Bay could see some hail along with a couple of those isolated storms that we saw earlier. And then we got a low end chance for most of you guys. Sioux Falls, it looks like that might set up right over you guys. So you might have a little bit of a higher chance of seeing some hail with those storms today. But those storms are going to start out isolated, and within an hour or two, they're going to band up pretty quickly, producing a wind threat. So depending on how fast that happens and where they move, we could get some $1 to $1/2 sized hail through any of this area, and then this looks like the best chance for some larger hail with those higher Cape values. Then finally, up into Montana. Just looks like 1 or 2 storms moving through this area, so Glasgow and the surrounding area, you guys could also see $1 to $1/2 sized hail. Then working our way into our wind threat, pretty much the same areas right now. We did add on Florida from Tropical Storm Elsa that's moving through. Northern or New England, northeast area, you guys could see some gusty winds moving through there. They band up as they get into the Boston and New York area, so that's why we're putting you guys in a more moderate wind risk. But any of these areas could see some collapsing storms and some gusty winds as those pass through. Then up into the Central Plains and Wisconsin, Minnesota area. Again, we talked about it banding up, producing that wind threat, so any of these areas could see some gusty winds. Green Bay, you guys are in a little bit of a higher chance because those storms seem to linger in the area a little bit longer, so you guys could have more of an opportunity to see some winds 60 miles an hour plus as they pass through. And then finally, same story with Montana, 1 or 2 storms passing through. A couple of those could produce some gusty outflow winds with them. Finally, here's what we got for Elsa. Forgot about that, but we do have Tropical Storm Elsa moving up through the area, Miami and Tampa. You guys could see some gusty winds. We've seen, last I checked, was like 55 miles an hour, so still sub-severe from that, but we could see some 60 mile an hour gusts as those rain bands move over your area. Also a tornado threat for you guys as that spins up some of those storms as it passes up through the west coast of Florida into today and tomorrow. So gusty wind threat for you guys in Florida from Tropical Storm Elsa that's getting ready to move through. Now into tomorrow. So we've got our future radar here for tomorrow. We've got some scattered storms passing on through the same kind of area as we saw into today's forecast. So this cluster of storms could produce some damaging winds as it passes through Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. And then later on into the afternoon, we're going to see these scattered storms pushing their way up through Pennsylvania and up into New York, looking kind of messy as they go. So we're probably going to see mostly a wind risk from these, although we could see an isolated hailstone or two. And then as those move off the coast into the evening, they continue to get a little bit messier, push off the coast, so our severe chance goes down as we get that daytime heating that we're losing. Those storms get a little bit messier, all of that jazz. So into the evening, our severe threat is going to diminish a little bit. So no severe hail expected into tomorrow. We may keep you guys updated on that depending on if those CAPE values and that instability looks a little bit better in that New England area into tomorrow, but right now it's still looking kind of more on the low end, so we're not expecting a whole lot of severe hail through tomorrow. Looking like more of a wind risk, so here's what we got. New England again, and then also Florida and the southeast from Tropical Storm Elsa. So looking up into the New England area, Boston and New York, you guys are in the risk again to see some of those storms pushing through, producing some isolated gusty winds here and there. And then down into Florida, as well as Georgia, South Carolina, Orlando, Atlanta, and Charleston, you guys could see some severe winds as Elsa pushes up, makes landfall, and then pushes through the southeast into tomorrow and tomorrow evening. Speaking of Elsa, so that's what we had for today and tomorrow's hail risks and wind risks. Now into our tropical risks for today. So right now, Elsa's moving north-northwest at 10 miles an hour, so moving at a pretty decent speed for a tropical storm. Still at tropical storm winds, we're at 60 miles an hour. We need it to get above 73 for it to become a hurricane. So still well in those tropical storm wind range. Pressure is 1,007 millibars, so sitting right above the 900s. So nothing crazy, however, we are seeing it going, or we do have the chance to see it intensify as it moves over those nice warm Gulf waters with very little shear moving through the area. That's what tropical systems love, so that they can intensify. So we could see it get very close to Category 1 status as it makes landfall into tomorrow morning. And then after it moves over that land, we're going to see that dry air, higher wind shear, moves into a less favorable environment for it to intensify anymore. So it's going to drop down a little bit in intensity as it gets ready to move off the coast. And then by Thursday afternoon, all the way into Saturday, it's going to move off along the East Coast up into the Canada area, 45 mile an hour winds, going to drop down quite a bit in intensity. So that's what we have for our track. Now into our rainfall forecast. I can't decide where I want to stand. Into our rainfall forecast, we've got a good amount in the Florida Panhandle here, or in the Florida Peninsula here, and then up through the southeast. So if you guys are in Tampa, if you guys are in Jacksonville, Gainesville, Fort Myers, you could see close to 2 inches of rain from this system as it passes through. And then once we get up into Tallahassee or Orlando, or just anywhere outside of the track of that hurricane, you guys are going to see those chances for rain go down a little bit. So you'll see a little bit of a less of a rain risk as this moves over your area. But yeah, if you guys are in the track for this this tropical storm right now, particularly Tampa, particularly Fort Myers, you guys could see quite a bit of rainfall from this system as it passes through. So 40 mile an hour winds, not severe, nothing crazy, not severe winds here, but Chance of 40-mile-an-hour winds through this area, pretty high as we skirt the west coast of Florida here into Tampa. You're very likely to see some tropical storm force winds as that moves up through the area. 40-mile-an-hour winds is just tropical storm force, by the way. So as that moves up through Tampa, you could see those tropical storm winds. And then again, as it makes landfall and pushes up past Jacksonville, we're going to see that chance go down since it's going to weaken a little bit. So I'm going to leave you guys with this into today and tomorrow. Elsa is expected to make landfall into tomorrow. Again, close to Category 1 status. It's moving over these nice warm waters. We need 80 degrees for it to intensify, and we're sitting at 82 and 83 along the eastern part of the Gulf of Mexico where Elsa is tracking right now. So looking kind of lopsided at the moment. We're only seeing 60-mile-an-hour winds, but it is forecast to continue tracking towards the west coast of Florida, intensifying as it does. So if you guys are in that area, now's the time to stay weather aware. Now's the time to take those precautions since we do have a tropical system heading your way. We're going to keep you guys updated on it, and we're going to keep you guys advised of what the conditions look like into tomorrow. We do our forecasts every weekday at noon, so make sure you guys follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can hit see first on Facebook so you never miss a live video, and you can also smash that subscribe button on YouTube, and we are on TikTok now, so just check us out on all of that social media if you guys want to stay in contact with us. And if you guys do want to get in contact with us, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can also email us at info@hailtrace.com or check out our awesome website, hailtrace.com, for more info. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers. Thanks for watching.